Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Casey inside the Gallery Coffee Company. I'm your host, Casey Ford, as we are going to talk a little Municing Youth Wrestling and Alger County Youth Wrestling. And it's very important that I talk about both this morning because it's kind of moving away from Municing Youth Wrestling and more to the Alger County Youth Wrestling. We're going to talk about that this morning from the Jamadot Studios inside a beautiful Gallery Coffee Company in downtown Municing, where they are open Tuesday through Saturday from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. And once again, I said Casey Ford inside this Jamadot studio, and I'm super excited to talk about this. But before we talk about wrestling, there are some other things I need to talk about, and one of them is very important, especially for young people. And I think this is what helps deer hunters with the youth and attracting people, because deer numbers have gone down and recently they've gone back up because youth have been getting back involved. But the DNR is having a free fishing weekend this weekend. And that also means that the Moose Lodge, the Municing Moose Lodge, is going to have the Moose Ice Fishing Derby, and that is in Autrain. This Saturday, February 19th, the family-friendly fishing derby on Autrain Lake continues with the 38th annual Municing Moose Ice Fishing Derby. Adults, that's ages 13 and up. Entry fee is $15. Children 12 and under are free with a registered adult. 12 cash prizes ranging from $25 to $150 will be awarded right after the derby. There's hot dogs, cocoa, coffee at the boathouse. Tickets and registration at the boathouse only. That's Autrain Lake registration. Also at the boathouse from 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. only on the Fishing Derby 7 to 3 Autrain Lake Saturday. So dress warm. I know on this Wednesday when we are doing this live on Municing Facebook or on the Rome Media Facebook page, and on our Rome Media YouTube page, it's supposed to be like 37 degrees. Sun's been out today. It turns a little bit different this weekend, Josh, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, but it's going to get colder. They're talking about a little bit of lake effect snow this weekend. So make sure you dress warm because this weekend isn't going to be like it is today. I want to say good morning to Mike Mahaney. Glad to hear a Municing station. Great discussion and topics as always, or as well, if I could read properly. I'll actually put that on the screen as well so people can, see the comments and not just hear me screw them up. So Josh Trader will be my guest this morning on a Coffee with Casey, and we're going to talk about wrestling. And Josh has been a wrestling coach for many years, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But feel free, leave comments, go to the Rome Media Facebook page, leave comments. Also, you can do it on YouTube as well. Now, it's important to talk about this because youth wrestling, I believe, has taken a huge hit because of COVID. I think it's one of those things that it's been affected the most. And when most people think of wrestling, I'm so excited for this, you don't even stand. Most people think about this: the most electrifying move in sports entertainment with The Rock. They think about the People's Elbow. They think about AEW. They think about the WWE. They don't realize that Bobby Lashley, who's the current WWE champion, was a great wrestler, great collegiate wrestler. They don't realize that Brock Lesnar, great collegiate wrestler at Minnesota. They don't realize that a lot of these guys have a jiu-jitsu, I can't even say it, jiu-jitsu background or karate background, or they went like through a youth wrestling program, through a My Way, or through an upper level. Now, we can get into that a little bit, but they don't realize how much training went into becoming a quote unquote professional wrestler or sports entertainer. And Josh, you've been wrestling for quite some time. I guess, how has this whole COVID pandemic affected numbers when it has come to wrestling?
Well, first and foremost, there's multiple like facets to this. There's wrestlers who want to wrestle whose parents aren't letting them. I've heard that, and then I've also heard that there's schools that are canceling events, canceling transportation to go to events, and then last year well, actually, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. COVID's lasted way too long.
Yes.
But
we all have lost a couple of years when it's come to COVID.
But seasons being canceled, seasons being started up late, things like that. So, and that's ages, kindergarten, first starting all the way up to through college and international Olympic level. Every single level has been affected by COVID. And I would say none of them have more importance than the other. Every level's being affected, and it doesn't matter what your skill is, you're losing something when you can't compete.
I will ask you this because I do feel that there is, I think there's an age group where you should start. I don't necessarily believe it should be kindergarten or first grade because you're not really learning a lot. And the reason we talk about this is I was at a wrestling tournament this past weekend in the Sioux, and I saw like the littlest of tykes, like 4 or 5 years old, that were wrestling. I was like, are they really grasping any of the stuff that they're talking about, or are they just out there to wrestle or just have a good time, burn off some energy? I don't really think you're learning much at the 4 and 5 year old level. But with that being said, I mean, they're out there, they're having fun, and they're competing a little bit. I think right around 4th, 5th grade, that's when you should start getting into it. I may be wrong on that. I don't know. Everybody has their own opinion on that. But I really feel like you really start understanding wrestling moves. And I'm 39 years old. I didn't wrestle. I love the fact that excuse me, that my kid wrestles because I don't know anything about it. When you're a coach and you see a parent like me, and I'm not going to yell at you, does that make you excited?
Yeah, absolutely. Having parents kind of across the board that support you, whether they know the sport or not, and then having parents who, to put it kind of bluntly, but keep their mouth shut. I mean, in all honesty, that's what it is. You just they let the coach do their job. That's always exciting because one of the biggest things in youth sports across the board is that we all hear about those parents who are in the stands yelling or screaming or belittling the coaches or the kids.
And that's important to me because I was a baseball player, and I do get on Sullivan a little bit more when he plays baseball because I understand baseball. I worked at baseball hitting schools, elite baseball and softball down in Grand Rapids if you're going down there. I played for Hall of Fame coaches. I played for coaches that played in Major League Baseball. Like, I know what I'm doing to an extent when it comes to baseball. Yeah. I've been a pitcher. I've done hitting schools. I've done all that. I've done some training. It's more than just putting a ball on a tee and saying hit. So I do put a little bit more pressure on my son when he plays baseball.
Yeah.
When he's wrestling, and I took some videos, and I know you have not seen those videos. David Bowerman, who's a wrestler, also runs Gallery Coffee Company, has seen them. And I said, David, watch these videos. Sully won in the Sioux this weekend, basically without a coach.
Yeah.
It's me saying, good job, Sully. Use your legs. Okay, try to run a half. Like, that I don't get excited. Like, I don't know what he's doing. He is so much smarter than me on the mat. I just keep my mouth shut, which I think helps too, because it helps him try to understand what he should do or what his next move is going to be without me telegraphing it and saying, hey, by the way, opponent, he's going to run a half on you.
Yeah.
Because obviously they start preparing for that, but he understands so much more about wrestling than what I do. And I feel like if I'm just getting in the way at that point, because he's very mat smart or wrestling smart.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, I don't know. I didn't do this.
Yeah. No, that's it's kind of, as a coach, I'm pretty vocal in the corner.
Yes, you are. I was going to talk about that in a little bit too, but go ahead.
But that's really important too, is to let the wrestler or person competing, and I'm kind of speaking in all sports, but wrestling, let them compete, let them be the wrestler, let them be the football player, let them be the baseball player, whatever. Just let them enjoy themselves and compete, and then you're there for support when they need it, which a lot of times is all the time.
Right.
But when you get an athlete like Sully who has great mat awareness, and has been doing it a while.
He's honestly 2 years because we've taken the last
COVID.
because we've taken the last 2 years off. He had 4 practices before going to the Sioux this past weekend, and that was just kind of hanging out with the high school kids because Uncle Joe lets him go up there with Nolan, which is his cousin. But he had 4 practices in 2 years.
Yeah, so I forget. I
COVID,
try not,
COVID time.
Yeah, I try not to think of the COVID time, but yeah, and then there's, and I think I've seen Sully wrestle, and I've been in his corner that probably first or second year, and like there's kids who pick it up and they're naturals and they just get it.
Yeah. And I don't want to put him in a position, and this is me being me, but I don't want to put him in a position where I'm going to set him up for failure.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, I don't know a lot but if I say, hey, grab the ankle, and then the other kid puts him in like a headlock or something, I don't want to put him in position. That's why I keep my mouth shut, which is so much different than when I'm a baseball coach, because I understand what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Josh Trader joins us right here on Coffee with Casey from the Jamadot Studios on the Rome Media Facebook page and on our YouTube page. I do want to talk about you being the wrestling coach because you've been in wrestling for quite some time. I also know what your day job is, but talk about your credentials and what you have done as a coach.
Oof. I was actually thinking about this, how long I've coached. So I'm 36 years old. I jumped into coaching at 20, like 19, 20 years old. So, but previous to that, I wrestled my whole life. So I jumped into coaching, head coach at a middle school level, and then just kind of worked my way up. I really enjoyed it, and I couldn't compete at a high level anymore because of a pretty catastrophic elbow injury. So I wanted to give back to the sport that gave me an absolute ton. So I started coaching. So coached middle school for a while, moved. Funny story, kind of got hooked back up with my high school freestyle and Greco coach. Freestyle and Greco are the Olympic styles. So I got hooked up with him, coached at Walled Lake Central with him. And that's kind of where my coaching flourished. That's when I started coaching at national tournaments, coaching, Michigan cadet national team with kids like Cam Amin from Michigan on the team, Rayvon Foley from Michigan State was on that team. The Freeman boys were on that team. They wrestle at Michigan, University of Buffalo, all these big D1 programs. And that's kind of where coaching took a different direction for me. And then after that, I moved back home, which is Midland. Well, home is here now, but
right.
My hometown, Midland, and coached, got the head coaching job at the rival high school. So I went to Midland High. I got the head coaching job at Dow High. Only coached there for a short time. And during that time, started my own freestyle and Greco club, and was able to also get hooked up with USA Wrestling, big time with my coaching credentials and things like that. Was able to take a trip to Havana, Cuba with Team USA. And so after that, I came back home, and then family and I ended up moving up here.
And you've taken a roundabout way because you talked about how much you moved. And I think it's great that you get to experience different kind of athletes at different stages in Michigan, because in Michigan, oh, that's far, my bad. In Michigan, like there's different competing areas. Like I feel like downstate, because I come from Jenison High School, really rich history when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah.
But also Granville High School, you had the Gritters when I was there.
Bubba Gritter's head coach there right now.
Yes. I mean, you also had Buddy Rivera that was there at that time. And Jenison has been so good with Coach Graham. And I don't know if he's still the wrestling coach or not.
Sure.
I mean, it's been over 20 years since I graduated from there. But Jenison had a great wrestling school.
Yep.
Jenison and Granville, Hudsonville, who was on the up and up.
Oh, yeah.
A few years after I graduated, they were really good. So, I mean, I didn't really understand the whole wrestling thing. I filmed it a few times, but I didn't understand it. But now I'm starting to understand because my son is a wrestler.
Mhm.
But I don't know when you should be grabbing ankles and like pushing down on the
Yeah.
head, and like he's way better at me when it comes to like sprawling and things
Yep.
like that. I do understand what that stuff is now, but I just think there's different athletes in the state, and I think that's what makes wrestling phenomenal. Because I mean, you can go to Battle Creek, you could go to Detroit,
Yeah.
you can be in Traverse City. Like, I thought it was great, and part of the reason why Sullivan went to Sault Ste. Marie, and I didn't care if he won or lost, I just wanted him to get mat time again after 2 years. But the part of the reason he went to Sault Ste. Marie is he got to face Reed City, which he'd never faced before. St. Ignace, we don't see them in a lot of tournaments. They might go to Newberry, but I'm going to miss the Newberry tournament because I'll be on vacation this year. And he got to face Sault Ste. Marie, which we don't get to see a lot of. Part of the problem with the Upper Peninsula is you go to Gwyn or Manistee or Ishpeming, Marquette, you're facing a lot of the same guys all the time, and then you kind of learn their tendencies, and I don't necessarily think that makes you better.
No, not at all.
Because you're always facing the same guys.
Yeah.
You learn what you can and can't do,
Yep.
and I don't think that makes you better.
Yeah.
And that's why I was super happy to go to the Sioux this past weekend, because it's guys he had never faced before.
Yeah.
And he's also a little bit bigger of a kid, because 2 years ago, he was around the same weight as everybody else. Well, I made him weigh in last night. He's around 84, 85 pounds. And everybody else that he wrestled before, and one of his good friends is in Newberry and does Newberry Youth Wrestling. He's also in 4th grade, 67 to 72 pounds. So he's bumped up in weight, and he doesn't do any like training or anything like that. And we can talk about that as well. But he doesn't do anything in training. He's just a big 4th grader. And in his bracket was 85 pounds, 93 pounds. There was a 96 pound. And then there were some that were like, 129, 150, 139. He wasn't doing that. But there's like, oh, do you feel comfortable with him wrestling the 93 pound kid and the 95? I was like, yeah, I just want him to wrestle. Just wrestle. I didn't come all the way over here for him not to wrestle, or hey, here's your first place medal for not doing anything. And you see, and at the high school level, you do see that from time to time as well when it comes to weight class. But I wanted him to wrestle. I wanted him to get back into the groove. I didn't care, as long as it wasn't like 20, 30 pounds over his weight class, I was okay with him wrestling.
Absolutely.
Josh Trader joins us right here on Coffee with Casey on the Rome Media Facebook page, also on YouTube, as we talk about youth wrestling. So let's talk about Alger County Youth Wrestling, because back in the day we had Municing Youth Wrestling, and this has really been depleted. And I know there's a few kids. One specifically is playing hockey. I know that for a fact. There's another one that has joined basketball because basketball was allowed to go. There was zero youth wrestling. Didn't matter if it was Onaway, Reed City, Sheboygan, if it was Municing. Like Sault Ste. Marie didn't even have a wrestling team at the high school level last year because of COVID. And that's why I want to talk about this and why it's important. But let's talk about Municing Youth Wrestling and evolving it to Alger County Wrestling. How do we go back and get some of those kids that were wrestlers that are now playing hockey, that are now playing basketball, and try to get them back in the program?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, just giving them the opportunity, one, and we're doing that 2 days a week, 8 weeks. So it's not like a huge time commitment. And, maybe it will evolve to more than that, but that's what we're starting with. And then we really want to capitalize on having, touching outside of Municing.
Right.
Because there is Superior Central is full of kids.
Wyatt Kulik was a great wrestler. He's a Superior Central kid. Wrestled for Municing this year.
Yes, absolutely. So Municing and Superior Central have a co-op for wrestling, have for as long as I've been here and as long as I've was told in the past. And I think it's just important to capitalize on that. Capitalize on the fact that there is kids at Superior Central who would love to wrestle. And Wyatt Kulik is a prime example. And so if we can get one and then start this youth program, and then my family and kids, we live out there, and my kids went to Municing. Now they go to Superior Central, and they're going to wrestle, and their cousins go to Superior Central. Now they're going to wrestle, and there's a bunch of kids that are excited at Superior Central.
I feel like
about
you're one of few
wrestling.
guys that has more kids than me.
Yeah, I have 6. So.
Yeah, I got 4, but yeah, I say that jokingly because I know his family well. But no, I mean, it's important to get these kids. But how hard is it when you go back to try to restart and build a program to get those kids back in? Because I mean, obviously there's some nerves, there's some jitters and things, and people are, I don't really know about wrestling. I don't want to get hurt. Like, how important is it to start, and how do you go back and rebuild a program?
Well, for me, I'm, I've been, I hate to toot my own horn, but I've been through it.
Right.
And I'm, this type of stuff I get excited for.
Right.
Like I get excited, like I am super excited.
But you're also a football coach out there, so you can kind of tap into the football team a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. I coach middle school football out there. So, I can go over there and I can talk to kids and all that stuff. And so it's important to get it going again, just for these kids to have something to do. It builds a good athletic foundation. I'm not, or I say but we're not trying to, steal the basketball players or anything like that. But if they want to come and try it, I guarantee you they're going to have fun.
I look at a guy like Riley Merck. Riley Merck is on the basketball team, and he's a 2-sport athlete in the winter. And I look at like Jenna Madsen, who plays basketball for Municing. In the spring, she does tennis, cross country, and volleyball. It's insane. Like, she is a great athlete, and it's just insane how many sports she does. And in the wintertime, she's playing basketball, and I'm sure she does track and field and like that in the spring. But small schools like Municing and Superior Central, they rely on dual sport athletes. But Riley Merck, I think, missed like the first week or two of wrestling. He came back out for wrestling, and I believe this is his first year on the team. I don't think he wrestled last year.
No.
And he has done really well for Municing this year. And it's super exciting to see guys like that play basketball that also have success in wrestling.
Absolutely. And you can do both, and you can be successful at both too. And I know it's hard to find things similar in basketball and wrestling because they're kind of like quote unquote rival sports. They share the same season. They have to use the same floor, all that stuff. But I tell you what, wrestling, great for a basketball player's footwork, great for their balance, especially a big guy. Someone like a Merck. I mean, I think a 215 heavyweight, probably like a down low guy under the basket. So balance, things like that. I mean, it's excellent. So
to see what Wyatt Kulik was able to do this year, and I was around a little bit with the wrestling team, not a whole heck of a lot, but enough to know the guys. But to see like Billy Chris, quarterback and cornerback for the Municing football team, he was doing really well this year until he got that knee injury. Wyatt Kulik, Superior Central kid, a lot of success. Andrew Kane, a lot of success. He lives in Autrain. Riley Merck, Robert Johns, like a lot of success. Masters got his first pen late in the year. Like, you see the progression of what he was able to do this year. And then obviously we know about the Reagan Bowermans and George, or I always call him George Whitehead because that's his Cole Whitehead. Cole Whitehead. But I know George and that family a little bit. But see the success. And Robert Johns, he was, they have him at 13 and 20. I don't even know. But the way he was able to get that pen in that third round in the individuals last weekend was a great. I mean, all these kids are excited that 3 Municing guys are moving on to Charlevoix this weekend for the regionals, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I've I'm not currently with my work schedule. I'm not able to really get up to the high school, but I follow all those guys. I've already looked at the regional brackets and kind of like, oh, this guy, this is what he has to do, and this is what he has to do, and I don't want to say on the air who I think has a good chance or not.
No, you don't want to jinx anything,
But legitimately, if those 3 guys that are going to regionals wrestle, their best matches that they can wrestle. I mean, all of them have a great chance at going down to Ford Field. So
I do want to share a quick story, and I don't know if he'll watch this or not, but it goes back to Sullivan again. And Sullivan's 9 years old. And I'm not putting any kind of expectations on him. He's 9. But I will share an emotional story for him that kind of got me a little bit, because this past weekend we stayed in the Sioux. We went to the hockey game, the Lake State hockey game, as they took on Ferris State. And he was getting ready and he's getting in the zone, like preparing what he needs to do. And you know what it's like when you have athletes that are getting set for battle. I could tell something was wrong. And he was waiting for like the Newberry people to show up because he has friends on Newberry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at him and I was like, dude, what's wrong? It's like, nothing's wrong. I'm like, I can tell, as a father, I can tell something is wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You can see in his face. I'm like, what is wrong? And he starts tearing up. And I said, dude, what's going on? Like, what can I do? And he's just like, I'm so nervous. I haven't been able to do this in a couple of years. And he just goes, I didn't think I was going to be able to compete anymore. And it just hits you right in the feels.
Yeah, boom.
Because he's a 9-year-old kid that just wants to play.
Yeah.
And I know we had the whole basketball last year, let us play, and the baseball, let us play. But a 9-year-old kid having the nerves that he had 2 years ago and 3 years ago when he first started, to just say, I'm nervous. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this again. That really hit home of what COVID has done to this region and these athletes. Yeah. And I felt so bad for him. But at the same time, it made me extremely proud as a parent that he has those feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Because it shows you 100% that he absolutely cares.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you want as an athlete, someone that's coachable and someone that cares. Like, I'm there for him. If he loses, I give him a hug. Yep. When he wins, I give him a hug. Obviously, winning's a lot better than losing. Oh, yeah. Everybody loves a winner. But, like, I hold him and I was like, dude, great job. I'm not out there wrestling.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that up. And believe it or not, we're at 27 minutes on this interview. But I want to bring this up. When it comes to wrestling, we know Municing traditionally has been a powerhouse. Escanaba, Marquette, like Newberry, great wrestling schools. Yeah. Is there such thing? And I know my way and with upper level, is there a thing of too much wrestling as an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old? Like, when would you suggest, I guess, doing like a travel wrestling kind of thing? If at all.
Well, so
it's a catch-22. Yeah, I know.
So when I was in high school, I graduated in 2004. I was just a one sport athlete.
Right.
I just wrestled, and wrestling folk style high school season would end, and I'd go straight into freestyle and Greco. And then after that, I'd, be a teenager, and then fall would come back and I would start training again. But now, and I would do travel things and all that. But now, be a 3-sport, 4, 5, 6, whatever, do everything. I mean, everything is going to make you more well-rounded and a better athlete all around. So I truly don't think that someone should only wrestle and do it all year round. Now, if you want to get on a club team and you want to travel and do some duels in, Wisconsin or wherever, then yeah, that's great. But don't let that take away from baseball.
Right.
Or in the fall, don't let that take away from football and things like that. I truly believe that we need well-rounded athletes, not just those one sport athletes. And then if you look at a lot of the top tier college athletes, they're not one sport athletes anymore. I saw something because of the Super Bowl. I saw something with like the top players from both teams and what other sports they played, and like I'm a Lions fan, so I was rooting for Stafford. Stafford was an awesome baseball player, and now he's a Super Bowl champ.
Did you know?
So,
and this is me going to be funny, but did you know that Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw were like best friends?
what's funny is I did know that because Midland, where I'm from, is home of Great Lakes Loons, which is a affiliate of the Dodgers. So
I just make fun of it
Yeah.
because on every single broadcast that you watch, there's like, hey, Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw are like best friends, or
Yeah.
they show Kershaw in the stands.
yeah,
Or
they did that at Super Bowl.
I know
Yeah.
they did. I was just like, if people don't know that Clayton Kershaw and Matthew Stafford are like brothers by now, they'll never get
They'll
it.
never know.
They'll never know. And
understand.
it's not like ESPN ever talks about it just all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
And I think it's also funny that my chair is sinking as we're talking right now. So I'm going to put that back up. This is the beauty of live, Facebook Live and YouTube. But I'm just thinking, what the heck's going on here? Maybe I'm just getting too fat. I don't know. Josh Trader joins us right here. Coffee with Casey from the Rome Media Facebook page and the YouTube page. Good morning, David, who's watching from Central Indiana. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk more about Alger County Youth Wrestling. It starts on Monday. You said Monday, Wednesdays. How long can we expect? Is it 2 hours?
Ish.
Yeah.
You know, for the we will have kindergarten, first grade there. For them, I'm pushing more like gymnastics style. We want those guys to be able to do forward rolls, and we want them like we're not going to hound them about the takedowns and half Nelsons, but if they can just get on the mat and
or getting back on the mat,
get back on the mat and things like that. Those little guys are maybe an hour and a half. Now we definitely will have some wrestlers there that are returning who will quickly, get back to what they were and get their feet back under them. And, 5:30 to 7:30. I'll be there till 7:30. So 2 hours max. Little guys, maybe an hour.
Gotcha.
So,
and how does one go about signing up for Alger County Youth Wrestling?
you can email me, jtrader20@gmail.com. I can get you a sign up sheet, or show up next Monday, Municing High School, go in the main gym, and go up to the loft. Kind of can't miss it. On either side there's stairs, and go up and we'll get you all set up.
And this is like a 6-week thing.
Yeah, we have it scheduled for 8 weeks.
Okay.
And then after the first month, there is a few tournaments, Newberry, Westwood, and then there's
Westwood
one in Gladstone.
So all right, here's how much I know the schedule. So the Gladstone one is March 12th. We're gonna miss that one. The Newberry one is March 19th. We're going to miss that one. We're going to Florida from a reschedule from January.
Okay.
So, but there's only been 5. Normally there's around 9, 10 tournaments in the Upper Peninsula. Yeah. Marquette currently not scheduled. Yeah. Municing currently not scheduled. Yeah. And there's no program at this point. So getting volunteers, I think, would be a nightmare at this point. Yeah. So I think it's good that we're not doing one. And I say we, at the Municing or Alger County Wrestling Program. Gwynn does not have one. Ishpeming does not have one. And Manistee, it says on the page that's where the awards or medals are going to be handed out. They're currently not scheduled. Mm-hmm. Those are a lot of big schools that aren't hosting right now. Yeah. So it's weird because Sully has won the Gladstone one. He's won Escanaba. He's won Marquette. He's won the Sioux. He's won in Newberry. Yeah. He's also finished, and because he's done this for a couple of years, he hasn't always finished first. Yeah. But some of the heavy hitters aren't doing them this year.
And I think that's COVID.
It is. Gladstone was scheduled for January 16th. Yep. We weren't going to go that one. Not Gladstone. Kingsford was scheduled for January 16th. And that one got canceled because of COVID.
Yep.
And we've never been to Kingsford or Iron Mountain anyway. We kind of have a rule. Within an hour-ish, we'll go. Now, we did go to the Sioux this weekend just to get some mat time in. Yeah. But that's the furthest we've ever gone for a youth wrestler. Yeah. I mean, we're cool with like the hour away kind of thing because we're centrally located in Municing, hour here, hour there, which is fine. we're just not trying to go to like Marinette or like a
Yeah.
Green Bay or Sheboygan kind of deal. Nothing against those schools. It's just too far for 8, 9-year-old to
Yeah,
compete.
absolutely.
But all right, Josh Trader, 35 minutes so far on this. Anything else you'd like to add before we get you out of here?
Just really, we're welcoming anyone. You don't have to have had any wrestling experience. You can come and try it. If they don't like it, that's fine. It's not like a locked in 8-week thing.
Right.
If you want to try it, we would love to have you. It's going to be fun. They're going to leave tired, and I guarantee you that you will enjoy seeing your child do it as well. It's
I
a
want to
fun
talk about
thing
this.
to do.
You've sent me something that was really cool, and it was that logo. There
Yeah.
are T-shirts involved. $10 fee.
I think no, the $10 fee is for just the sign up,
Okay.
and that's going to go back to the Municing wrestling program that co-ops with Superior Central. So we're helping the high school program that all these athletes would feed into.
Okay.
The T-shirts. Do not quote me on this.
Okay.
15 for a short sleeve, 20 for a long sleeve,
Okay.
and that's that logo and name on the back.
Okay.
So around those prices.
Okay.
But I'll have all that information there, order forms. We're going to try to get all that lined up quick so we can wear those shirts around town.
And I will use your terminology on this. You said that you're a little bit more vocal than some other people in and around the area. As a coach, I mean, you see Coach Joe's style of coaching, and he doesn't say a whole heck of a lot when they're doing the high school stuff. Yeah. And then you said you're more vocal. I guess what's the difference between the two coaches and the coaching styles?
Well, that's all like my coaches. That's how they were when I was wrestling.
So that's how you're brought up.
That's exactly how I was brought up. Now, if I'm coaching like a high level, like I've coached like those, like the Amines, the Foleys, you just sit and watch. Because that's all you get to enjoy.
So how much credit do you take and how much credit do they get when you're in a Foley's corner? How much credit do you take on that?
That's all them.
You're just there.
Yeah. I mean, we give them the tools in the practice room.
Right.
But
you take joy in it, obviously.
Yeah. But at that level, like you sit back and you get to watch them, wrestle and
it's more of an art.
It is. It's a science too. There's a lot of angles. There's a lot of all that. And you just get to sit back and watch and then be their voice if something does happen. If you need to challenge a call, if you need to argue with a ref or whatever. But yeah, you just kind of get to watch and enjoy. And I do it all. I watch, Big Ten Network, and I watch wrestling.
Penn State, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska. Those corn-fed boys, I tell you what, they know how to wrestle. That's why I say, and to circle everything back around, Bobby Lashley, who's a WWE entertainer, but he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
He was a great collegiate wrestler. Brock Lesnar, great collegiate wrestler. They got their start somewhere.
Yep.
You might as well, if you enjoy it or you see and watch wrestling, Penn State is really good. Michigan has been good. Michigan State has been decent.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say Michigan
State's ranked, Michigan State's ranked 14th or 15th in the nation. Michigan's currently ranked number 3. I think Iowa's number 2, Penn State's number 1.
And they're all Big Ten.
All Big Ten.
All Big Ten.
Yep.
So
and one thing I did want to say is we talk about WWE and all that.
Well, I mean, it's hard not
current Minnesota heavyweight, 3-time NCAA champion, just won the Olympics this past summer, which would have been 2020, but COVID. He signed to the WWE.
I was also going to bring up Kurt Angle.
Gable Stevenson, Kurt Angle. Gable Stevenson is current Minnesota heavyweight. Watch him. He is entertaining, and that is good wrestling, and you're going to see him on the TV.
Yes.
And that's where you got to start.
Right. Like I said, I had the people's elbow that I was able to throw early on.
Yeah.
didn't really expect that one. I normally don't do props when it comes to Coffee with Casey, but when I'm getting ready and I have my shirt and I look above and I says like the People's Champ or whatever it is, or you smell what the Rocket's cooking. I was like, oh, I'm wearing this today.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us. It starts Mondays and Wednesdays, 5:30 to 7:30, Municing High School for Alger County, for Superior Central, for Municing.
Yeah.
First grade, you say kindergarten as well?
Yeah, kindergarten, first grade, and up, middle school.
I always get like styrofoam in my throat from this microphone. I try to get different camera angles. Josh Trader, thank you for joining us in Coffee with Casey this morning. Once again, Alger County Youth Wrestling, Mondays and Wednesdays for the next 8 weeks here in Municing. For Josh Trader, I'm Casey Ford. You've been watching Coffee with Casey on the Rome Media Facebook page, also on the YouTube page from the Jamadot Studios inside Gallery Coffee Company, where they are open Tuesdays through Saturdays from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. Have yourself a great weekend and enjoy ice fishing if that's what you're going to go do. Free fishing weekend here in the state of Michigan. Have yourself a great weekend. And as always, go blue.